Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Love Most, the podcast with Dea, and I am your host. When I thought of doing Love Most, the podcast as a concept, I saw no separation amongst us. I wanted to connect with people and help connect those people with you. Love Most, the podcast with Dea is an inclusive platform where I get to speak with amazing people that are doing incredible things to help impact their immediate communities or the world around them in some way, be through a book, a product, a service, a show, and even a podcast. When you love most, you include, not exclude. Love is not just a feeling, it is a choice and an action. And in a world where there is so much bullying, public shaming, and judging, I am inviting you today to, above all things, love most. Now, I have an incredible guest for you today. And so let's get started. Above all things, love most. Above all things, love most.
How are you helping change the world around you? Welcome to Love Most, the podcast with Dea, where you are invited to share your gifts and to, above all things, love most. Brought to you by Dea Music Ministry. For more information on how to be a guest, please visit www.deamusicministry.net. That's www.deamusicministry.net.
Hello. So good to see you. Let me unmute you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So good to see you. I wanted to welcome everyone. Please help me welcome Dr. Michelle McKinney Hammond. I have so much to share about you. And before we start, I would love to read your bio. And it is such an incredible, you've done so many incredible things that I will have to actually read it because it's impossible to memorize it. And I'd like to just our guests to get to know you just a little bit before we get into the questions. So it says here that you are the author of over 40 books, I think 42 to be exact, selling over 2.5 million copies worldwide, including your best-selling titles include The Diva Principle, Sassy, Single, and Satisfied, The Power of Being a Woman, to name a few. I mean, there are so many of them. And one of my personal favorites, He Speaks, I Listen. You are a gifted songwriter and vocalist and the visionary and leader behind Relevance Music Ministry. You are not only that, but you have a few solo CDs under your belt. You are a former Emmy Award-winning co-host of the television show Aspiring Women. You have appeared in Roma Downey's and Mark Burnett's productions called Women of the Bible, AD, and The Bible Continues. You appeared on countless radio and television shows, including Bill Maher's Politically Incorrect, NBC's The Other Half, CBN, The 700 Club, Daystar, TBN, BET's Old Drama, to name a few. I mean, it's incredible. You have also been featured as a regular relationship segment host on Chicago's WGNN Morning News and on Fox's Fox and Friends. You have graced cover of magazines such as Today's Christian Woman, Precious Times, The Plain Truth, and Gospel Today. You have been featured in articles in Essence, Ebony, Jet, Black Enterprise Magazine, the Chicago Tribune, the Associated Press, and the New York Times. You are also an incredibly talented actress and producer. To a long list of credits, we can talk about, you have appeared in several African movies. Some of the titles are Bloodline, Single and Married, If Tomorrow Never Comes, Love Regardless, the series Poison Bait, and you have starred in Candle in the Wind. You recently have written and produced and starred in your first screenplay called First Love. So some of the awards include USA Television Award, You have over 20 Creative Excellence in Black Advertising Award. I know that for 15 years you worked with a Chicago-based advertising company called Burrell Communications, right? You created many award-winning campaigns for companies such as Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Procter and Gamble, Ford Motor Company, and so many more. I mean, it's an incredible, incredible bio. And I have to say, I think that if we had to go over all of the things you have accomplished, we would need a show just to go over everything you have done. So it is really incredible. I know that everyone who is watching, you are in for a treat. So let's get started with the questions. One of the things that I love to ask my guests is probably because of my philosophy behind the show Love Most, the podcast with Daya. The word love most have a very special meaning to me, but I am particularly interested in what does the expression to love most mean to you?
I would think that it's to give yourself the utmost. When you love most, you're giving everything. You're giving your all. You're all in. So that's what I would think it means.
Okay. You are, to me personally, and I believe for many women out there, the epitome of femininity, influence, and brains. But if you could use only one of those words to define yourself, which would you consider most powerful, and how would you use it to your advantage? So the words are femininity, influence, and brains.
That's a hard choice. I like all three of those words.
And you possess all of them, but if you could only go with one.
I would have to say influence because for me, that's my heartbeat. Having an impact on the lives of people, transforming their lives by renewing their thinking, which means influence. And I can still be feminine and brainy if I'm influential. So
there you go.
I'm going to pick influence.
That is perfect. I love that. Now, as an accomplished author, right, to put it mildly, I mean, over 40 books and with 2.5 million copies sold worldwide, as I mentioned before while reading your bio, you have written on relationship expert advice. You have written books for personal growth, as well as some novels, some pretty incredible novels. And but is there a subject that you haven't written about yet that you would like to write about someday?
Years ago, a friend of mine and I were going to write a book called Conversations in Black and White. Because I feel really blessed that I have a really diverse collection of friends and that we're able to have honest conversations. And especially in today's climate, I was looking at it the other day. There's two things. And the other one was The Secret to Anonymous Fame, which I know sounds very strange, but it really was about all the different influences in my life and how I don't think that any of us are ourselves exclusively. We are an amalgam of all the different people that we've watched, listened to, been advised by, hurt by. I mean, you name it. All those people make up who we really are. So those are probably the two topics that I still haven't. Well, actually, there's a third. And that is on how our relationship with our Father affects our relationship with God and all of our other relationships. I think it's a huge topic and a very important one.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. I know that you have lived in many places. You were born in London, right? You grew up in Belize and you lived in Chicago. I mean, you traveled, Barbados, sorry. I don't know why I had Belize in mind. Must be my desire to get out of the winter and the snowy days, Barbados. And I know that you traveled all over the world, right? And I wanted to know if you could call, and now this is from a cultural standpoint, if you could culturally pinpoint one specific thing that has helped mold your career, what would that be?
That's a good question. I would say laughter, because my Bajan culture and my West African culture, both cultures are cultures that love to laugh. And I believe that laughter is like Aleve or Advil. You know, it will heal you. And that's huge in my life. The ability to laugh in times when it seems like the world is falling apart or you're in a place of uncertainty, to be able to find the funny thing. It releases something in your system that liberates you. So for me, I would say that. And then after that, it would have to be food because I love food.
Okay. Love that. Um, I have heard you say that. Okay, now before I even go into that, I want to ask you one other question. Being that you're so passionate about helping people in the area of relationship, right? What is the most important component to build a good foundation for a healthy, lasting marriage?
Communication, most definitely. Um, what is not said um, can have just as much impact as what is said and how it's said. So I would have to say that communication is critical. It is a must. No relationship can thrive without two people being able to communicate their heart, communicate their needs, communicate effectively in a way that bridges any gaps that take place and builds understanding and gives them a foundation to grow together. So I would say communication.
Now, I have heard you say that there are many courses, right? There's a course for everything in the world, and you literally can um, look and find answers through search engines because of the era of the computer now with all this technology. Um,
Mhm.
what would be an area that you wish people would seek for help with? More help, meaning they are not really taking courses in these particular areas. Can you point us to some of the areas?
Definitely relationships. I mean, no one trains you for your relationship. We have a lot of bad information when we're going into relationship. Basically, the only thing that we've got going for us is what we've seen modeled before us and our own experiences, whether those are good or not. Most people have had bad relationships or certain things that have happened that have colored how they move forward with the rest of the relationships that they encounter. Um, if you grew up in a home where your parents didn't communicate, you won't know that you need to communicate. You won't know why that marriage is as tense and toxic as it is, because in the mind of a child, your parents are always right, whether you like how they make you feel or not. So I would say we study for every skill set for all the other careers in our life, except the most important career, which is relationships. Because when your relationship is great, you function great at work. Your finances can thrive and flourish because you're not comfort shopping. I mean, relationships basically are the foundation for all the other ships you sail in life. And so when we have issues with that, the other things suffer as well.
Well,
So definitely one should have a relationship course that you go through so that you can prepare yourself, not just um, by how you feel, but intellectually. Love is a
mm,
decision. And one of my favorite scriptures is found in Philippians. And it says, don't just love much, but love well. Learn to love appropriately. Well, how do you do that? Most people don't even really know what love is. If you ask them for a definition of love, they kind of go, I don't know. And yet there is a definition of love, and you should be able to recognize what it is and what it's not.
I love what you said. I think it's such a profound statement to recognize that our ability to love sometimes may come from our point of reference, right? We have points of reference along the way. And so, with that you said, with all that you said about that, would you agree that we need to actually personally make a decision to work on ourselves as well as working in understanding the dynamics of relationships so that we're better prepared to engage with others in a way that it is an exchange? Nothing
Most
takes away
definitely.
from who you are. So, and because we mentioned that, I wanted to bring this opportunity for you to talk to us a little bit about this incredible life-changing course that you created called the Love You Masterclass. I want you to tell us what that is and the reason why you created this course.
Well, I created it for the reason I just stated, that I do a lot of counseling when it comes to relationships. And I'm always a bit stymied by what people don't know. So when they don't know it, they can't see what it is that is going wrong in the relationship. And usually it goes bottom up, and they're still just figuring it out. So it's very, very important for people to know the dynamics of love, to be able to be very clear about what they expect, what they want, what they need, so that they can make the right choices of if the person they're considering is even capable or has the capacity of giving them what they need. But also, it's not just about what you need, it's about what you need to give. I don't think that we know enough about our job description in relationships. So all of these things are things that we talk about in the Love You Masterclass. Love you as in love yourself, love you, love university. But it's a course that I've designed that I'm very excited about. And I feel that it has transformed those who have taken it. Because the ultimate goal actually is that you are such a good you that you're fine until you find that right person. That doesn't mean you should say, I don't need to be married and I don't want to be married. No. But it's about, hey, today I'm not in a relationship and I'm really good.
Right.
And if I meet someone, now I'm inspired as if I want them to join me in my life or not, because I've already got the happy. So I'm not allowing you to come and mess with my happy. We were having this discussion earlier today that, I'm good. So if you come into my life, you got to bring more happy. You can't come and mess up the happy. You can't come and take away the happy.
Absolutely. And you're right, because in order for us to even identify that, right, identify somebody coming in trying to take away, we actually needed to know exactly what that is, define for ourselves and be really secure. I say it happy, whole, and healthy. And if there is someone there, great. If there isn't, great. You're happy, whole, and healthy. I think that's so important. I know that we've had some other conversations, and in the past, we've heard other people say something that I actually want you to talk about it a little bit. We had heard recently someone say in one of the Clubhouse events that you host that we need to learn how to receive. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I really loved what you said when you were commenting on that statement.
Well, it's true. I mean, there are actually two extremes, aren't there? There are those who are only looking to receive and love. And then I believe the real lovers are givers. And sometimes their weakness is that they don't know how to receive. And when that happens, the other person doesn't feel needed. And I think that's something that we overlook and don't realize, that when we are joyfully giving everything and not allowing spaces for other people to reciprocate or to feel needed in our lives, it actually has the opposite impact of what we wanted to have. Those people walk away disillusioned. They don't feel needed, and they go and search for someone who needs them. So it's very important to be able to strike that balance and give people a place to land in our lives and allow them to feel as valued as we would like to be.
That is wonderful. I actually wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge the fact that I was a part of the Love You Masterclass and how the impact in my life has been life-changing. I have gone through a very traumatic experience in the middle of the first time I took the course. And I tell you, one of the other aspects of the Love You Masterclass that literally held me together is this platform that you create for other women to also support one another. The Love You Masterclass, I can't remember all the weeks. I know there are many weeks. There were a few master classes with you where people get to sit privately with you, where we sit in a group, but it feels like you are in our own living room. And I have to say, I was so tremendously changed by that course that I have to tell you questions that I honestly wouldn't have even know how to ask myself. So I think with that, you have the ability to impart in others gifts that we don't even know that we're aware of. And I always like to say the story, I literally launched this podcast last year, a month after I had recovered from COVID. And I did because what I had learned in the Love You Masterclass really helped me align with my purpose. And I knew that in spite of the struggles, I needed to really override it in order to overcome it in a way that I would be able to put those things in place. I don't know if I hadn't had the Love You Masterclass, the wonderful sisterhood and the women behind it praying for me, if I had would have been able to stand up the way that I did shortly after. I mean, it is really such a beautiful gift. I know that many people talk about, so the words can be tribe, sisterhood, support system, right? Whatever
Right.
you call it, the beauty of it is that for me in particular, I think that this moment, this event, because to me it was a life event to be a part of your class, brought revelation, clarification, and a newfound inner wisdom, if you will, something so profound that I remember thinking, wow, before I took the class, I didn't think that it's not that I was thinking I need to fix myself. But once I learned the things in the class, I thought, wow, I didn't know that this was like a God lift. You feel elevated in some way, in such a deep way. The tribe and sisterhood support system that we call, right? What are some of the elements that someone should be looking for? Because I know that a lot of people are searching for that connection, that support, but they need to actually realize that there are some key things they need to be on the lookout for. What are some of those elements, if you would like to, if you can share with us?
Well, I really created the MMA tribe because I was taken aback by how many women did not feel safe within their circle, did not feel supported, did not feel that they had true friends. And so I wanted a nurturing environment where women could gather via online, because this is where we've lived for the last 2 years, correct? But it's been amazing between the online connection and the WhatsApp thread on their phones that these women have grown so close together. And I'm watching the thread, on a daily basis, and it's nonstop conversation. And I love it when someone has an emergency and they pop on and say, can you pray for me? I'm getting ready to step into court. I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with that. And everybody jumps into the pool and starts praying for them. It is just, it just makes my heart explode. I just have to say. And you're one of our elders, and we have 11 others. We have 12 elders in the tribe. And just how we've come together and prayed every month, how we communicate on a daily basis and have helped each other birth the giftings that God's put in us, And so we're expanding that now for other women who joined the tribe to nurture their gifts, to have think tanks, to have accountability. And so you were asking what the ingredients are there. First of all, a healthy respect and love for one another. It takes to have open communication. And what's interesting? If anybody in the tribe has been offended, they've been able to go to that person and talk it out and get back on the right track. And for me, that's emotional intelligence. And I just really love the fact that an atmosphere has been set that lets everyone know no junk here. And what happens in the room stays in the room. We support one another. And I love it when I hear about people checking on other people, not on the thread, but just individually reaching out, praying with one another. So I think that what has happened is a healthy environment has been put in place for transparency, accountability, love, respect, and integrity. And those are the things that it takes to have sound relationships. That accountability factor is huge. We're all yielded to the Lord. So, we're going to answer to him ultimately. And I think that makes us all behave ourselves, even when we don't feel like it.
It's interesting. I wanted to mention this because I know that sometimes when people are looking for something like this that you just described, they think it's not a real thing. But I tell you, I have a perfect example. Yesterday during the clubhouse meeting, and you are an incredible giver for allowing us to on your own platform, in your own journey, allow us to become a part of your mission in the way that we do. And I have to say, I was just giving my information out, and I get a text message from one of the women in the Love You Masterclass, Agatha, and she says, "Don't forget to mention about the podcast tomorrow." She literally went out of her way to remind me, so that other people would also have the opportunity to join if they wanted to watch today. That just did something to my heart, because I thought, what a beautiful gift to have someone on the lookout for you. They didn't have to say that, they didn't have to say, oh, I'm going to highlight her, but this is the love that these women that we have for one another, the respect, the courtesy, the gift to say, hey, just want to remind you while you are speaking, remind them about the podcast tomorrow, because maybe other people would like to join. I was blown away by that. I was so moved, because I said, it's the interesting thing. Yesterday, I was very foggy yesterday. So I was having a difficult time remembering things. And I was also doing the Clubhouse call. There's a bunch of things going on at home. So I'm multitasking as I'm listening in. And I tell you, it's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful thing. I think that you are such an incredible giver, nurturer, mentor to all of us women that are a part of, not only as elders, but the women that are be a part of the book club or a part of the Love You Masterclass. It is a beautiful love. And I think, again, like you said, love is a decision. Love is a choice. Love is an action. You have the opportunity to do things in a certain way. And you can't help but to think, I can't help but to think, when I was sick and everybody was praying for me 24/7, I wasn't even in a space that I could pray for myself, but I knew that I had that behind me. That was incredible. It's a beautiful gift. A beautiful gift.
And it's one that there's no competition. We're there to support and champion one another, because we're very clear that we all have an assignment from God, and we need to, jump into the pool and help everyone complete their assignment.
And even throughout the year, when you had your MMH hangouts, right, throughout the pandemic, in the very first year into the second year, you had that MMH hangout every Saturday. And I remember there were times, in the MMH hangout sometimes, but also on the book club or during these meetings that we had that were the masterclass for the Love You Masterclass, where you would come and join us. We cried with each other. We cried about each other's issues, and we cried with one another and supported one another. I remember you said sometimes when you start those master classes, you really didn't plan all that much. Once you started speaking, it took a life of its own. And we all had poured in our, felt safe enough, first of all, to pour what we had brought with us, whether it was an issue or a past trauma or pain or happiness. And we had many moments that were life-changing. I'm such a passionate person about what I'm learning with you, from you, because I think this is what we ought to do. When you love most, you share, you take part. You invite others, you include others. It doesn't matter what situation. So many times I've heard you say, when you're giving us advice, is you always try to look at the whole picture. And there is a way to be inclusive even in the way you look at each other's differences and each other's circumstances. Some of your advice is, well, maybe there is something going on that you don't see. And you make us think, you make us take a step back and think, maybe I'm not seeing everything that I need to see. Pray about it. And then the group will pray about our situation too. So I have to say, I think that women all over the world that have read your books, have been in some of your conferences over the years, and are taking part now virtually, you literally created an entire community of people during the MMH hangouts. I know that they take place once a month now, correct?
Yes, the first Saturday of every month.
First Saturday of every month.
If you go to my website, there's a button there that they can always sign up. Yes.
I want to put your website here on the banner. Your website is michellehammond.com. And also on your website, there was on your Instagram at McKinney Hammond, you have also a link tree with all of your events and websites and everything that everybody needs to go. I definitely recommend that everyone check it out. I know there are a lot of amazing things happening in 2022 for you. And I wanted to make sure that everybody can find you. So McKinney Hammond on Instagram, Michelle McKinney Hammond on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, right?
Yes.
And we also, can you talk a little bit about God TV? Because I know you have your own TV network now, and I want to get in touch with that.
One God TV network is a new holistic channel for believers. And it has holistic programming. So everything from food to music to podcasts to, whatever you want to see, it's on there, but spiritually and principally based. So it's a wonderful new network. I am on there network with an exclusive channel for all of my content, things that you won't see on any of the other social media platforms. So you can go to One God TV Network. .com and download that way, or you can go to the App Store on your phone and download the One God TV Network app, which is free. And there's a lot of free programming. And then if you want to get into my exclusive channel, you can subscribe for $4.99 a month or $50 a year. I mean, that's a couple Starbucks, folks. Okay.
That's
So
right.
it's a great way to support what I'm doing, but also to tap in. And there's new information, a new programming that goes up every month. So there's fresh stuff to see, music, podcasts, audio books, interviews I've done with different people, and a couple of my favorite people are on there. My television show I won the Emmy for can be seen there because it's not on air anymore. So things like that you'll find on there. There's another music show that a friend of mine graciously gave to me. So some of my favorite things that I think people should see are also included on there. And I'm getting more and more of that programming to put on as well, voices that I think should be heard. So I'm really excited about it. And if you go to subscribe, if you use my code 4115, you'll get a discount off of the first month.
Okay, that's wonderful. So One God TV, the code is what is it again? 4115?
Yeah, my discount code is 4115.
4115 is your discount code, One God TV. Michelle McKinney Hammond TV. She has her own channel. I think that your resources are incredible. And one of the things that I wanted to mention before I go on to my next thing that I was going to say is that every time I look into what you're doing, right? Because these are all tools that we can use to invest in ourselves. I think I can't help but to think of these three words: positioned for greatness.
Praise
always
God.
comes to mind when I'm looking at what you're doing, how you are influencing women all over the world. Really, I mean, I know that people may think this is an impossible thing, but even within our own group of women, within the elders, people are tuning in when it's 4 o'clock in the morning for them, and they come into these meetings just to show you the value that we find in this, in the investment that it is. We're investing in ourselves, but what you put out there to help all of us is incredible. Positioned for greatness. I actually had the opportunity to interview you about, I don't know if you remember, maybe it could have been November or December of 2020. And so within less than a year, I launched the podcast. And I remember on that interview, you said, Dea, you should have your own show. At the time, it seemed like, what? It didn't even cross my mind. It wasn't something that was even on my radar, but you said those words. And then a year later, or less than a year later, I launched the podcast. Here we are again. So I'm just saying, there is such a powerful movement within this exchange when you find your tribe of women, when you find the things that you're really connecting for the right reasons. You say something so beautiful: connect with these things out of value, right? You say not out of void, out of value. And it's something that's becoming more and more apparent even in my everyday, that everything you do, think about the things that you wanted to receive, accept, be on the receiving end with humility, so that you can actually benefit from the gifts that you offer. I know that it is very late in Ghana, and I am so beyond blessed to have you here today. Once again, doing this interview, it's been an absolute pleasure. But before I go, I wanted to congratulate you. I know that you have received an honorary doctorate of theology from the American Bible University. And I know that we're so proud of you, Dr. Michelle McKinney Hammond. I wanted to say thank you again for doing this interview with me. It's just wonderful to have you. You're such a blessing. And I want to let everyone know that you can, again, find the website is michellehammond.com, which is on the banner there. You can see. Check out her YouTube channel and subscribe, follow on social media. Definitely check One God TV. There are many, many resources. And certainly don't forget to check the Love You Masterclass. The Love You Masterclass, do you want to say something about the capsules? Because I wanted people to know that as well, the capsules.
Oh, yes. If you don't have time for the full masterclass, which is 6 lessons, 6 modules with 10 lessons each, so it is 60 days with 6 master classes. If you don't have that kind of time, you can do love capsules and get kind of like the cliff notes of Love You sent to your email 3 times a week, because you got to take 3 meals in a day, so it's 3 capsules a week that you'll get. But it is the abridged course, but it's designed for those who don't have a lot of time or might be on a tight budget. So that's designed for them, because I don't want anybody to miss out.
Absolutely. And again, on McKinneyHammond.com, McKinney Hammond on Instagram, there is a link tree on the bio. And if you click on there, you're going to see all of the links to many, many of the things that Michelle is doing. Thank you, Dr. Michelle McKinney Hammond, for this absolute honor and pleasure. Thank you for being here with me today. I really appreciate you and love you. Mwah.
You're welcome. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, we'll see you in the next podcast. And it'll be on January 25th. I can't wait to see all of you again. And thank you for joining.